We will talk legacy when Mahomes is done. But in their first 7 seasons of his career, if he wins the Super Bowl, he's off to the greatest start in the first 7 seasons in the history of the NFL at the quarterback position. He'll be tied with Brady in rings. He'll have 2 MVPs, and he'll have the most passing yards out of the 2 of them. That's just saying out of the first 7 years. I'm not saying 20-plus years. I'm saying for the first 7 years.
Again, let's cool it. He didn't win back-to-back. He did not win back-to-back 3 and 4 years. Come on.
Well, I mean, if he wins, 3 out of 5, okay, but close enough. But still 7 out of 7 years, all the stats are the same besides passing yards.
Winning
MVPs.
Back-to-back is a big deal.
Well, he is winning back-to-back if he wins this year is what I'm saying, because he won last year, so it'd be back-to-back. But if he does win, I will say, similar to Nick Saban, this might be, not statistically, this might be Patrick Mahomes' best season of his career because of the lack of talent or the lack of production around him with all the drops. Travis Kelce's distracted. Pacheco's the only one that's playing hard all season. Rice has come along. All About the Balls podcast with Mark Davis, Chris Gemeinhart, Luke Rule, and Nick the Doc Skirkowitz. Welcome to this post-NFL division episode of All About the Balls podcast. I'm Mark Davis in the Sack House, ready to recap the wonderful weekend we had. I'm with Luke Rule, Nick the Doc Skirkowitz, and Alan Tomasella. And Luke, I'm going to start with you. I know it was a huge weekend for yourself and the Baltimore Ravens. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I mean, this is pretty much how I expected the game to go. I mean, our defense has played lights out this week, so I'm super excited to dive into this game a little bit more. But, yeah, huge win for us. Huge win to get that playoff record off of Lamar's back now and shake the little rust off. So going in next week.
First ever hosting the AFC Championship game in Ravens history, too. So first time in the bank.
Yeah. As the Ravens, yes.
Well, yes.
As the Colts. We're the Colts in Memorial Stadium.
But the thing was, you guys weren't – so this franchise technically is the Browns franchise. It was never the Colts franchise. So but did the Browns ever host it?
The AFC Championship has been hosted in Baltimore just back in the 70s.
Yeah, but as the Colts franchise. It was never a Ravens-Browns franchise. No, that's the difference.
No.
But Doc, how are you doing tonight coming out of this wonderful weekend? We had 3 good games.
Good, man. Can't complain. Watch some good football and waiting for next weekend.
Yes, sir. And Alan, how are you feeling? I think you went 1-3 this past weekend in your pick. So how are you feeling?
It's life. It happens. It's all good though.
Oh, he wants to. He's gonna make his new calls, shuffle it up here, make his new calls for Super Bowl.
Change every pick.
I did just I picked my Super Bowl picks after the Week 16. So, I mean, it's just right on par for me to switch it up right now.
I mean, yeah, you only got 4 teams left, so you got a good shot now to get that right. You have a better shot now than you did many, many weeks ago. I'm a little upset, boys. I mean, I've been waiting for Buffalo to get past the Mahomes-led Chiefs and maybe make a Super Bowl run, and they just can't do it. That's their kryptonite. That's their Achilles heel. I'm still happy the Lions are alive and they're still kicking, but I was hoping to see Josh Allen get to the Super Bowl, get that Patrick Mahomes monkey off his back like we're going to talk about with Lamar in a little bit with the getting past the division round, a monkey off his back. I wish that Josh Allen could have pulled that off. And we're going to talk about that very, very shortly. But let's start off with
this is like the New England Indianapolis from back in the day with Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, and Peyton just couldn't get past him.
Well, but Manning did it on his 3rd try. Mahomes played Allen for the 3rd time in the playoffs, and just like the first 2 times, he won. So, and all the numbers were there.
Chance, man. This was the chance, and it's difficult now. But I think that Buffalo just really has to make some major changes.
No, yeah, and we're going to talk about that. Trust me, we're going to talk about that. That's going to be the last game we talk about of the 4. Let's talk Luke's Ravens. Baltimore came in, after that bye week, and a lot of people were questioning Lamar's legacy in the playoffs. 20 days off, with that bye week, and then sitting their starters on week 18. They came out a little strugglish in the first half. Second quarter was definitely rough for the Ravens. It was 10-10 going to the half, and then guess what? The Ravens scored 24 points, didn't give up a single fucking point. And the second half, they didn't give up a single touchdown to the Texans. The offense for the Texans only got 3 points. Their only touchdown was a punt return. So, boys, how big is this to finally get the pressure, to get that, can't get past the divisional round with Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh as the head coach, monkey off that back. How big is it now going forward for the Baltimore Ravens to finally relieve some of this pressure?
Yeah, I'll start. I mean, this is a huge win for the Ravens to get that monkey off Lamar's back. I mean, yeah, they came out probably a little shaky. Plus, I don't think they expected for the Texans to blitz them that much, that hard, that often, and because that's not typically how the Texans defense plays. But I guess that's the way they schemed Lamar up this week, and it worked in the first half until the Ravens went to halftime. Lamar gave his little halftime speech that he can't speak about. But yeah, it made huge adjustments at halftime and just lit up the scoreboard after that. So I mean, huge win for Lamar. This was his game. He balled out, like leading rusher, leading passer, 4 touchdowns. His passer ratings over 120. So great game from
QBR.
him. I mean,
QBR is 93.9.
Yeah, 93. So I mean,
Yeah, man.
outstanding game. So I liked it. Our defense played lights out as always. We didn't really get like the stats wise on the defense besides like giving up like a goose egg in the second half. But like we didn't sack CJ Stroud or get an intercept. But we got a couple sacks on it, but nothing crazy and no picks from CJ Stroud. I mean, credit to CJ Stroud. Like the Ravens defense is the best defense in the NFL, and he still had a decent game on us. He gets some big throws, but I mean it's tough for a young quarterback to go against a complex defense like the Ravens.
Actually, no sacks.
Y'all had some crazy
no sacks,
good
Luke,
pass
actually.
Oh, we
Yeah,
didn't
it
get
was
one?
a,
I thought we
it
got
was a
one.
really
I thought we
good
got a
game. I
couple.
think a lot of people were kind of
No sacks. Never
CJ
mind.
Stroud, but
No sacks.
I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, he played really well. Considering the situation, the Ravens defense just showed up to play. Man, they're after everybody. Hey, look, I think that I called him out last week. I'm happy for Lamar. I think that was a game he had to have. I talked about it a little bit in the Discord that there's 4 general outcomes that when games come out, and it's either you could play bad, it's you played bad and you lost. You could play good and you lose. You can play bad and you win, or you can play good and you win. Those are the 4 general outcomes, and I think that this was the best situation for Lamar Jackson. He came out and played really well. Top 10 player in the league. He's going to be MVP this year.
Is he top 10 quarterback though, or just
listen,
top 10 player?
Listen, top 10 player.
Because my question to you before you do that is that when we're saying quarterback, I'm saying fuck the passing. I don't give a shit if he could throw the ball better than Kirk Cousins. When I say quarterback, is he one of the 10 quarterbacks that you want to win you a game? That's what I'm saying. That's what he's a quarterback. I mean, he plays the correct position. Is he one of the top 10 that you want to win you a game when it matters?
Listen, if he goes out and wins the Super Bowl and changes the narrative of the actual ability to win a Super Bowl with this style of game, then yeah, you cannot change that. You can't. But I didn't see anything in this game that changed my opinion on the quarterback position. It's a system that was built around him. It's built towards all of his abilities, all his talents. It's a great system. They did a great job with it, but I still think that it's not a system that's going to get you to the promised land. He's done nothing but prove wrong, and he's going to continue to do that. Kudos to him. He needed this one. I mean, I went over his stats in the playoffs all last week. Listen, I can't say anything about it. I mean, it is what it is. He came out. He played great. This is what he had to have. But I don't think that I saw anything in this game that changed it. And one of my comparisons is I'll just throw this out. I didn't see a game-changing pass from Lamar Jackson the way Josh Allen rolling left threw a touchdown strike, right? That's that arm talent. That's that passing ability. Similar stats, but I saw the difference.
He had a 20-25 yarder, I think, to Likely or something.
Yeah. He had a good couple tight throws too, like good window throws that he was. Throw. I mean, yes, obviously it wasn't the Josh Allen rollout. I mean, that's probably the best throw of the whole weekend. But yeah,
he had 2 good ones. One to Bateman too.
Jordan Love had some good throws too. I mean, I just saw that they're. When I look at that, I just say, all right, Josh Allen's scrambling quarterback, Jordan Love scrambling quarterback. You've got these guys that can go out and make plays with their legs, but they're scrambling quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson is a running quarterback, and that's where I draw the line and the difference. The first play of the game that was called was a Lamar Jackson run. They ran at least 6 designed runs.
I mean, Josh did
Lamar
too.
Jackson.
Josh did yesterday too. He had a lot of
He
design
did.
runs for
That
himself.
was in the game plan to try to take away the Chiefs off of the field.
So it was in the Ravens gameplay to hit up some design runs. Lamar Jackson broke off like a 50-yard run. So
And
I
that
mean,
is, but that is the system. Look at this year. How many times are they going into the game plan with the Bills to do that?
Wait, who broke up a 50-yard run?
It was more like a
Lamar
30 to 40-yard run.
It's something like that.
It was a big run.
It was a 23. It was a 23.
Was it 23?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it seemed long.
But Luke, before we jump on, I want to say nice jersey. By the way, you look nice tonight, man. That's a nice number 8 you got going on. But Alan, what I want to say though about Lamar is the game plan. Yeah, it wasn't there for him to do that. He ran the game plan that was called throw it in the first third of the field, throw it in the short field, let the receivers do their thing, let you run the ball. This Texans defense, they're built to not allow deep passes. They are a young, feisty defense. And they're probably, guess what? The game plan's going to be the same way this week. We're going to break it down Thursday night. The game plan's going to be the same thing against the Chiefs. They're not going to throw the ball 40 yards down the field. They're going to throw the ball 15 yards and in because that's the Chiefs defense as well. They're not going to allow the deep balls. Now, that opportunity yesterday, the Bills did, yes, but the Ravens, that's what they're going to do. They're going to throw it 15 yards and in. Lamar's going to be dynamic. And maybe if you have the play action going, then maybe you can take a deep one out there. But he didn't have to do that. Like he ran.
Josh Allen had some amazing throws. I mean, just a phenomenal 60-yard pass and dropped by your top receiver who is doing nothing.
Those don't count. Those don't
but
count.
that's not
right. They don't count. They don't count.
But on Lamar,
The game plan though is to lull him to sleep with the run and then take that big shot deep. And is Lamar Jackson going to be as accurate as as Josh Allen?
Well, he was accurate. He was 72% completion percentage. Yeah.
He was 72% completion rate, but he wasn't throwing the ball down the field like that.
But he doesn't, and he's not going to.
That Allen completed those passes. He threw them. His wide receivers dropped them.
But guess what? They're not going to do that against the Chiefs neither. That's the game plan. That's the Ravens against the Chiefs. They're going to do the same exact thing. That's why the Ravens are dynamic because they can keep the ball and keep moving because I think out of all the defenses left, the Chiefs can contain Lamar the most. I'm not saying they're going to. I think the Chiefs can do it. They can limit the 100 yards. He's probably not going to get 100 yards rushing. But he's still going to be dynamic throwing the ball 10 yards around them, like around the sticks. And that's what's going to be the difference is can they stop Likely? Can they stop Bateman? Can they stop Zay Flowers? Mark Andrews is coming back. I mean, they're having weapons there, and I think Lamar is the difference maker. He hit a 93.9 QBR, best QBR of all quarterbacks this weekend, highest completion percentage. He was better than C.J. Stroud and Devin Singletary. He was better than their quarterback and their running back and both sides of the ball, or running the ball and throwing it. He was the best QB and running back in that game.
Yeah, I said, kudos to Lamar. He needed this game. This was a big legacy game for him. He came out. They were rusty in the first half. He gave that speech in the halftime.
I don't know if I call beating the Texans in a divisional game a legacy game.
Well,
I think it's a legacy game because you get to the conference championship. That's the legacy right there.
It was the way he did it.
I don't know. I saw a lot of people pick against the Ravens too.
Yeah, they did. I mean, I did.
3 of them on the show.
Listen,
this was a big game though,
considering his past. When you look at his playoffs history, we went over the stats, we went over everything, and this game he showed up. And specifically in the second half, he came out, was the difference. After he made his speech, he put the team on his back. He wasn't going to let them lose this game. They ended up blowing them out. I'm not going to sit here and badmouth anything. I'm just saying, hey,
I'm
going to badmouth stuff.
Kudos to Lamar Jackson, top 10 player in the league, and that's where I'm gonna leave it at. I mean, go out and win a Super Bowl. Maybe I'll change my mind.
I think if he gets to the Super Bowl, that's going to change that narrative too.
Crazy you say he's a top 10 player, but he's not top 10 in his position. But if he's top 10 in the NFL, I mean, he's going to be top 10 in his position because he plays quarterback position.
This is what I told
your
Mark.
definition
this is what I told Mark about
quarterback
that. Because
is thrower of the football because Josh Allen is not a top 10 thrower of the football. He's a top 10 quarterback, but he's not a top 10 thrower of the football. Half his passes or interceptions. Most of the time, he's got the most interceptions in the league. I think either him or Hurts. He's got well over 20 interceptions this season. So
yeah, I mean,
it's not 20 interceptions.
Yeah,
well, 20. It's 20. It's turnovers. Yeah, it's 20 plus. But no, I think though huge win though, Doc. I think this is huge for the Ravens. I think going forward, I think the pressure's still there. Yes, because they're hosting the Chiefs, but a lot of that pressure. It's minimized now. So now maybe they can play a little more stress-free, more relaxed, more Ravens football. Like Luke and Alan said, maybe the schemes will be there for the Ravens. Like that's the big pressure I think coming out this past
My
weekend.
bad.
No,
Josh
I
Allen has
don't.
18 interceptions for Josh Allen.
No, you
18.
cannot. You cannot let up off the gas if you're the Baltimore Ravens because, I mean, this is a convincing win, which is why I think it was a huge win for Baltimore. This wasn't a close game. Like I thought it was going to be. This was a convincing win. So it's kind of showed how they can come out and just manhandle the opposition. But Chiefs are a much different defense and a much different team than the Texans are. You know, Lamar Jackson, 152 yards passing. Is that impressive? No. But the reality is they didn't need more than that. You know what I'm saying? 16 to 22 passing at 72%. I mean, he passed when he needed to. And like you said, they kept the passes close and it worked. You know what I mean? They didn't need to go downfield like that. That's the thing. You got to look at, they didn't need to do that. You know what I mean? And talking about Lamar Jackson being a top 10 and not a top 10 in his own position, I talked to, me and Mark were talking about this a little bit, and I look at it and I'm like, because you're blessed with the physique to be able to be a scrambling quarterback does not make you a top 10 quarterback. You know, Peyton Manning, I've seen locomotives go faster than Peyton Manning when they're hauling 200 cars behind it. You know what I'm saying? But Peyton Manning is still hands down a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson any day, at least right now. You know what I mean? So,
I mean, but that's not the argument. It's top 10 quarterback of this era, not quarterback
no,
from
no,
7
right
years ago.
I
I'm
know,
talking
but
about
I didn't
right
say
now.
I didn't. Did I put Manning on the list above Lamar? No, but I'm just comparing because we can talk about Brady. Brady is still this era. Then Brady also does not have the jets to scramble, run the ball. You know what I mean?
How about
great on him?
How about the year
great on the
2023 though? Who's I'm saying top 10 of 2023.
We can get into that in a little bit. I'm going to finish what I got to say because I've been trying to get a word in and I can't get a goddamn word in. So, Lamar Jackson, great job being able to scramble. The rush game was awesome, and nobody wants to talk shit on C.J. Stroud. Everybody thinks he had a great game. C.J. Stroud had a shit game. Kudos to the Ravens defense being able to lock down the passing game. I mean, they were on him, especially those first couple of drives, breaking up passes, getting out in front. Incredible job by the Ravens defense. But C.J. Stroud, 57%, not impressed. Not impressed. 175 yards. He missed big throws when they needed him. He missed timely positional moves when they needed him at the 40. Couldn't move the ball into field goal range. Couldn't move the ball 3 extra yards, to get that first down on something short. Missing open receivers, throwing off of back foots, just not making good throws, in my opinion. And it didn't help that the rushing game couldn't get going from the start. Singletary had like 22 yards rushing. Yeah, on 9 attempts. I mean, from the start, he was just slammed at the line from the get-go. Obviously, you
dumb
can't
penalties too.
Yeah. Oh, and penalties killed the offense all game long. All game long. There were a couple on the defense, but pre-snap penalties killed that offense. And yes, it does put C.J. Stroud in a tough spot, but there were a couple that brought it back up there. But there were a lot of third and short situations or third and doable situations that C.J. Stroud just couldn't step up. And I'm not going to hold it against the guy because he's a rookie. First year in this atmosphere, first year playing at the NFL level. I mean, he's going to grow. He's going to learn. He's going to get better. I have no doubt about that. But I don't think C.J. Stroud played a good game. I think he played a shit game and, learn from it, come back next year, play stronger. And they did a hell of a job covering Nico Collins, too.
And I will say, big shout out to the Texans, too. Like, them being in the position they're at now, first year, we were waiting for them a couple of years from now. I said they were going to be competitive losers. They were competitive winners this year. And I think there's some things they have to do next year. That I think they're getting a receiver in the draft or a receiver in free agency. They have to replace Singletary if he doesn't come back. They have some holes they're going to have to start to fill. But I like what the Texans are doing. But yeah, shout out to the Ravens defense. This is best defense in football. I know we said the Browns could have been. They're 1 and 2 or 3. Top 3. Browns could be top 3, but the Ravens defense showed up, and it did make C.J. Stroud look like a rookie.
This wasn't anything that we didn't see all year long, though, with the Texans. And I know I sat up here and said, hey, I think I trust the Texans to come out and play better. I really thought that it was just the momentum of the season for these guys. And kudos to the Ravens for coming out and playing the way that they did. But when you look at the home road splits with the Texans all season, and C.J. Stroud specifically, home road splits, he did much better at home than he did on the road.
Yeah, and I think too, one of the other things is what was so successful last week was getting out ahead early, forcing the Cowboys to come from behind. And I think they tried the same thing this week. And I mean, they were juiced up first quarter, first couple of drives, especially. And it seemed like they just kind of got deflated after that. Like I said, I mean, they didn't really try with the run game. 9 for 22 is not great, but they didn't really do much after that. Stroud had 3 scrambles. They just kind of went to the passing game. And when you're passing every single play and you're not moving the chains, I mean, you're just going to limit yourself.
Oh, yeah. That's also what you get when you get like a warm weather team that plays in a dome going to a very cold game up north in a hostile environment. I mean, it's going to be tough for CJ Stroud to compete with that. For whether they're not acclimated to when the Ravens are outside practicing 2 weeks ahead of the game in the cold. So there's no way they could prep for that game sitting in Houston where it's fucking. I mean, it's a little chilly this week in Houston, but not nearly as cold as Baltimore.
Not Baltimore, yeah, not Baltimore.
Yeah. Plus, I don't understand why. Yeah, it's underrated how loud the stadium is, and it's gonna be loud next week. And speaking of that, like I don't understand why the Texans refused to go to the silent count like all game. Like they couldn't hear CJ Stroud; it was so loud in there, but they refused to go to the silent count. But and just kept getting these pre-snap penalties because they couldn't hear him. Like I don't know who made that decision.
That's the young coaching decision. Brand new OC, brand new head coach, rookie quarterback. They're going to learn from it. I mean, that's the only thing that you can.
That's why you can't be upset about the result.
No, I think if you're a Texans, obviously players will say if you don't win the Super Bowl, it's a failure. Of course, 100% you got to say that as a player. The fans though, they should be happy what they have. I think that they have 100%. a good window going forward. With AFC South being where they're at right now, it's a good window for the Texans to look forward to. And Luke, congratulations on the Ravens. I know we're going to harp this game Thursday. The only 2 games to talk about. So
yeah, you guys are probably going to all bet against the Ravens again, but it's okay.
Oh, yeah, we don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Fucking Luke, know I am, buddy.
Well, Luke, we had this conversation.
Doc has not seen enough of Taylor Swift, and he needs 2 more Taylor Swift games.
Well, Luke, we had this conversation when it was just me and you earlier in the year. We said in the same situation when the Chiefs and Ravens were number 1 I think they were tied at the time. We asked each other, who do we trust more to win the game, the Ravens or the Chiefs if they play each other in the playoffs? You went Lamar because you're a Ravens fan. I'm not going to harp on that. Not it's respectable. I went Mahomes because I thought what's going to happen is it's going to be a low-scoring game. Offenses are going to have some splash plays, but I'm going to go with the best quarterback in the NFL in this situation. I was going to go Mahomes because I trust Mahomes to get me there, get the team there, and that's what I trust. Now, Thursday, I don't know yet. I have to sleep on it, do some studying, do some shit material while I'm taking a poop.
I'm going to trust that Ravens defense against Mahomes.
Yeah, Chiefs defense is good, too. That's what I'm saying. And we're going to talk about that Thursday. Yeah, that's a game we'll harp on.
Yeah,
but
Kelsey.
Betting against Patrick Mahomes, it just, man,
it's tough.
Pretty sure you guys did that.
We'll talk about them last.
Already.
They're last. They're last. We're gonna save that game for last. Let's move on real quick. San Francisco 49ers hosting the Green Bay Packers, and what a game it was. It was 21-14 going into the fourth quarter, and guess what? Shanahan was 0-30, down 5 points entering the fourth quarter, and guess what? They scored 10 points, just like I said they were going to. They didn't win by 10, though. That was the difference. They won by 3. I guess the question, boys, is how worried should the Niners be with Debo being hurt, playing the Packers close, avoiding the game plan of not running through McCaffrey, putting the ball in Purdy's hands? How worried should the Niners be?
I don't think they should be worried at all. Debo is a big loss, but you've still got weapons on that team. Juwan Jennings has proved that he can come out and play when you need him. George Kittle's still having big games. Ayuk is still there. CMC can still catch out of the backfield and still top running back in the game. Debo went out in the first half, right?
It was like the first couple plays.
Yeah, so, Purdy still came out. It wasn't, again, another kind of low completion percentage, but, he got 250 yards. No mistakes with the interceptions this game. I mean, he still came out and made stuff happen. I think he played a pretty decent game. I'm not going to say played a great game. I mean, he made the plays when he needed to, but I don't think you got to be worried. There's still a lot of weapons on this team, still a lot of guys that can make big plays happen. I'm not worried.
I mean, I'm a little worried.
I think when you look at this game, the Packers beat the Lions Thanksgiving Day, kind of started their turnaround of their season. You see what the Lions are doing now, but now they're going to have to go on the road. I don't trust Jared Goff outside in a game. And I think that what we saw from this, the biggest issue is not Purdy. I think the biggest issue for the 49ers is their offensive play calling. Man, Shanahan he's got this like I'm a
Ego.
genius type of
He's got that
thing,
ego.
but then he comes out and does the dumbest things. You know,
He just wants to throw the ball
you
every
got the
fucking
ball
play.
in plus territory and you don't even give it to CMC at all, 0 touches. You know, you don't even try to capitalize on it. And then you go out and I think they ended up having to kick a field goal in that situation. I can't remember. Did they miss that field goal? Like it was
No,
just dumb that
they made it.
it was just dumb that they didn't even give the ball to CMC at all. And then you're running with Juwan Jennings. You mentioned Juwan Jennings. They're running the ball with him out of the backfield. Like he is not Debo Samuel. He is a wide receiver. He's not that player. So I don't understand the play calling. Shanahan doesn't get a pass on this game. They shouldn't have been in this game. Especially it really should have been probably the same script as the Texans and Ravens game. Nice close game at halftime, and then 49ers turn it on. But every single time they got into a situation where they could make a play, Shanahan's making the dumbest play calls. And I just didn't understand it. Kudos to Brock Purdy. I harped on him earlier in the season, especially when we were in this MVP talk. He came out, he showed what he needed to show at the end of that game. And I think that's the difference when you look at Shanahan's record being now 1-30.
I wouldn't say be worried. I'd say be on the alert because the game plan they should have had against the Packers was run the ball. One of the worst rush defenses in the NFL. But now you're playing, and we're going to preview this Thursday with just a little tip or a little teaser. The Lions have one of the best rushing defenses in the NFL. So now I get it. They give up a lot of yards passing, but they can get to the quarterback. They were getting to Baker. Baker was able to strong enough, and he had the will enough to get out of those pressures. And I'll give Baker all the credit in the world. He played his heart out. But can Purdy do that? Is Purdy going to shake off Aiden Hutchinson? Is he going to shake off Kaminsky? Is he going to shake off the boys out there for the Detroit Lions who gets to the quarterback? Yeah, they get a lot of yards. But if Debo Samuel's not playing, yeah, Kittle and Ayuk's good. They're really good players. But is he going to get off those sacks like Baker was doing? Is he going to extend the play? Because if they shut down McCaffrey, or if they just abandon McCaffrey like they did this game, I would be worried because I know Kyle Shanahan's little fucking ego. He likes to do the dumbest things possible. Saw it with Atlanta, and we saw it with the Niners in the first Super Bowl, Jimmy G. That's what he does. He goes with the opposite shit that was working, and he tries to be a hero. And I think the Niners are good, and I think they're the favorite, and they should be. I think they're the better team on paper. They arguably they are. But
I just don't understand.
It's just what game plan are they going to go with? Because, and we see they struggle without Samuel. In the history, they're 8-9 without Debo Samuel. So that's not a good record. It's a 17-game sample size, and they're under 500. So yeah. I'd be a little alertful, if that's even a word. Just be on the alert a little bit.
Yeah, they seem to struggle when they don't have all their stars playing at one time. You saw they went on that. Debo and CMC were hurt, and they just dropped 3 games in a row. So I mean, and Debo went out, and they were struggling in this game. Like San Francisco was clawing for their life in this fucking game, and the Green Bay Packers just gifted to them right at the end. They did. Sucks for Jordan Love because he played not a great game, but not a terrible game. I mean, they were able to run the ball pretty much all over the 49ers.
I thought he played bad. I'm sorry. I'm not giving a pass for the first 2.5 quarters. Starting the end of the third quarter, the whole fourth quarter, he was bad. He was a bad quarterback. The interception that he threw, the first one was horrible. It was way behind his tight end, who did get a hand on it. Yeah, I think he was just trying to get a hand on it so it doesn't go in the chest of Savage, because that was going to go in the chest of whoever's behind him. And then that last interception, I don't know who he thought he was. I don't know if he thought he was Brett Favre. If he thought he was a fucking MVP quarterback, yeah, I don't think he realized who he was. He should have sat there and fucking threw the ball away and then keep running the fucking or run more plays. That's a bad fucking play. Yeah. And the kicker, yes, missed the kick. I get it, but no, I think the Niners should be worried though.
But the same thing with the Ravens game. I mean, I think we're discrediting the defense a little bit too much here. The 49ers can get after them. The 49ers, Nick Bosa is a monster. You got Chase Young on the other side. They're getting after guys. They don't even have to blitz. They can get to the quarterback. And I think you saw that pressure just start to get to him in the second half. And at the end of the day, we just sit here and we're like, he made a bad pass. These are 2 rookies. We're talking about C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, 2 rookies. I'm not going to sit here and condemn them for the way that they played on the road in the playoffs. Their first time on the road in the play. Jordan Love played on the road last week, but C.J. Stroud too. First time on the road in hostile environments. We knew that they were going up against a more difficult challenge. with the 49ers, and you just saw them, the talent on the defensive side just started to catch up. And I'm just saying, don't discredit that defense.
Well, I will say a guy that's
The 49ers defense didn't play that great. Like they had 0 sacks in this game, and they got gifted 2
Nick
interceptions.
Bosa had
really.
5 quarterback hits, though.
I will say though, a guy that's escaping some of the blame.
That's huge for one guy.
There's a guy that's not getting blamed for this game, and that is the coach, Matt LaFleur. Aaron Jones had 18 carries for 108 yards. Why the fuck aren't you running the ball more? Why are you letting Jordan Love throw the ball 34 fucking times when your running back's got 18 carries for over 100 yards running the ball down this fucking team's throat? Why are you trying? It's the same shit against the fucking Bucks a couple years ago when they decided to go for a field goal and then not fucking put the ball in your MVP's hands and do some dumb shit. It's the same fucking thing. It's just the ego check that this guy has. He's fucking from Shanahan's system, isn't he? He's a Shanahan disciple.
Well,
he's the
he's
same
not
type
from
of
his
shit.
system, but they were on the same. They were on the same team with the Washington Redskins.
Well, but that was his. That's his. Well, it's kind of his disciple. He's OC there, so I mean, he trained. He taught the guy.
Yeah,
you're not
I
from the
just
tree,
say
though.
that.
You're
It's
not
that
from the
same
tree,
shit.
though, unless you're the head coach.
Yeah,
I think he came from. He came from. I think he came from McVay's system actually, but same shit. They're all from each other.
But you know what? I mean, the word where I have the problem with the play calling is when they get out and they start passing the ball on first down. When you do have that running back that's running all over them, you pass on first down, and then now you're in second and long. Now you got to pass again, and then you call another pass play, and then next thing you know, you've ran off 4 or 5 straight passes. Before you even decide to run the ball again, in the middle of that, you've kicked a punt because you had 3 straight incompletions, or you've thrown an interception, and it wasn't. That's where I think that these guys they think too much. They try to get too cute.
Oh, I agree, and I will say Packers same thing with the Texans. Great season, like for what they were at. This is a rebuild year, and they're a 9-win team, and the first 7 seed to ever beat a 2 seed. That's great. Like I'm so they have a lot to look forward to. Doc, I told you last week. Sorry for the Bears and fucking Vikings because the Packers are just going to be good for the next fucking 15 years, it seems like. And that's a rebuild mode. And we thought 5, 6, maybe 7 wins. No, man, they were 9 wins. They got in as a 7 seed and they beat the Dallas Cowboys and had the number 1 seed on the ropes, literally on the ropes. Great season for the Packers, but the Niners better figure out, like you said, Alan, Shanahan better stop being too fucking cute and too egotistical and fucking get his head out of his ass and run the goddamn ball. That's all you got to do. Run the goddamn ball.
Yeah, good thing for the Packers. I mean, like, they don't have to pay anybody anytime soon, really. I mean, besides Jordan Love coming up, I don't know if they picked up his 5th-year option. Yeah,
and
they're not.
They restructured it as well to be able to sign some more guys. But they are in line to pay him pretty big. I know that I've seen a couple of updates on that.
Yeah,
and they should do what they should make moves. They should make
Yeah.
moves in the offseason, something they don't normally do. They should go after some free agent. Maybe go after T. Higgins. Let T. Higgins fucking mentor these boys. Let him be the wide receiver 1 with Dobbs and Wicks and them.
One thing that I'm interested in, this is the way too far ahead look ahead here, but every single year you've got teams that drop out of the playoffs from the previous season. That's the one thing about the NFL. For as many teams as we've had consistently in the championship games, these Chiefs 6 in a row, right? There's still so much parity in the NFL that teams just turn over every year, and I don't see the Texans and the Packers not making it next year. So which one of these other teams that made it are not?
I mean, that's something that we'll have to figure out when the free agency hits and then the draft. Like that stuff we'll be predicting obviously in the summer. But no, I think great game. The Niners pulled it off. Hey, that's what good teams do. You find ways to win. It's the playoffs. It's not gonna be super pretty all the time. That's why you're here. You're playing against the playoff teams. You're not supposed to win 34-10. No offense, Luke, but like you're not supposed to win every game like that. It's not. That's an anomaly. Really, it's the playoffs.
Playoff games are supposed to be close. They usually are. Very, very weird when you hang up fucking 20+ points on a team in the playoffs,
especially the divisional round. Like that's the round where these games usually are close.
Steelers is the other team for you, though, Alan. That's the other team not making it next year.
Well, I mean, we'll see. If Tomlin finds ways to get to the playoffs, we'll see what happens in the offseason, who they bring in as the OC. And
he'll get 9 wins.
Yeah, he'll get 9 wins.
500 or better.
Or he'll get 8. Or he'll if he gets a tie, he'll be 8-1. So he won't have a losing record. So
he's done that before. He's been 8-1.
Yeah, but let's move on, boys, to the other NFC team that got the victory. And Luke, you were shitting on me and Chris last week about our horrible takes. Here's one of your horrible takes. You had 3 of them this week, and actually you had 2 of them. But this was one of them.
This was not a horrible take. This game was a little bit closer than the score is going to show. But I don't know what the Bucs are doing at the fucking end of the game. Even after Baker's interception, they still had time to get the ball back. But I mean,
we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, Todd Bowles is. I don't like Todd Bowles, the head coach. But
we're talking the Lions, boys. We're talking the Lions winning 31-23. And I will say, Baker played a hell of a game, and I think he should be a starting quarterback in the NFL next year. The Bucs should sign him. If not, someone else should grab him. I still don't think he's a good enough quarterback to win the Super Bowl, but he's a good enough quarterback to get you to the playoffs, maybe win a game or so. But the Detroit Lions, boys, what a game. And I know Doc shit on me last week about Sam Laporta's line. What's the line this week for him? Because he played fucking fantastic. He looked healthier this week. That's the Sam Laporta I was expecting. Obviously, coming back from an injury, first time in that big-ass brace he's ever played with, it was probably a little awkward for him. But he found a way. He got involved. St. Brown didn't have a big game, but he still was productive, had big catches when it mattered. Jared Goff played good. Had a struggling third quarter, but he had a big fourth quarter, and that was the difference maker right there. It was Jared Goff putting the team on his back with Jahmyr Gibbs and Baker not having a good fourth quarter. Baker did shrink in the fourth quarter, boys.
Yeah, this game pissed me off in so many different ways. FanDuel, Vegas definitely called for FanDuel on this one.
Yeah, they fucked me on this one.
Dude, Brown,
that 6-point spread fucked me on that bullshit fucking no call and pass interference on the 2-point conversion. That fucked me right there.
Yeah, Montgomery just I don't know what the hell they were doing with him. I mean, so much about this game pissed me off, but I did call Josh Reynolds for 25, so that was dope. Because that's hit or miss every game, but no, I mean this
touchdown too.
He got 27 points, 27 yards. That was close.
Yeah, I know that's why, but he's been hot. But I think I even took Williams. Oh no, Williams got his 2. Yeah, I took Williams for 1.
Yeah, I think the Lions were still trying to give away this game all the way up until about the fourth quarter, and it was a close game. But I think you guys are right. I think NFL called defenders. They were like, "Hey, let's get them in there." But I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to go all the way that far. I would say it was a good game by both teams. It was so funny. I said it right as that final drive was coming. I was like, "Is this the time where Money Mayfield becomes a legend?" Or does his legacy stay the same? And then immediately right after that, he throws the pick. And, I mean, it was
a bad pick, too.
But, I mean, he still wasn't getting a lot of help from his wide receivers. I mean, Mike Evans, come on. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he might be the worst catcher in the Hall of Fame.
He still had 147 yards.
8 catches, right?
He does. He's crazy, but I mean, there's just so many times he drops the ball, and I just.
Well, the first interception was off his hands.
Evans.
Yeah, I think it was it was definitely a hot throw. It was a little high, but that's something that Mike, you're a Hall of Famer, right? You got to catch that. I don't give a shit if it's a little high, a little hot. I mean, Brett Favre and Josh Allen, they fucking laser the ball, and their receivers catch it. You got to catch the ball. I get it. You weren't going to get a first down, but you would have gotten in field goal range probably there, and then you had a chance interception there. Gardner Johnson, that was his interception right there, and he got the shit talk, Baker a little bit there, which is cool to see.
Yeah, I thought so. The interception's not even on Baker, so it kind of defeats the purpose a little bit because it's not like Baker made a bad read and CJ fucking picked him off. It's tip ball. Shit happens.
Here's my issue though: is they put Baker in a position that they put him in constantly when he was in Cleveland. You're putting too much on him, overusing him, 4 huge sacks in that game that affects the momentum, the drive, positioning, everything, obviously. But the team had, 15 rushing attempts for the entire team. I mean, Rachaad White had a good game, averaging 6.1 a carry. He got 9 carries. I mean, you've got to mix it up some more. You've got to make other plays happen. Baker passed for 349 yards. He did his job with 2 touchdowns, but we saw it in Cleveland. When you try to put too much on Baker Mayfield and try to force things too much, these are the mistakes that happen with those late-game interceptions. That is the typical Baker Mayfield that we are used to seeing. They've got to find other ways to move that ball.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue with the Tampa Bay's offense is that offensive line. I'm like, Baker has no fucking time in the pocket to even try to make a read on the field. It's first read or he's taking a sack. And it's pretty much how this game went. And he was getting, he had 4 sacks, but every play he was getting fucking lit up, it looked like.
And that's why I said, and that's why I wasn't shitting on Baker start the year. I said, mark my words. I said, I don't give a shit if Brady's playing again. I did not have this team being good because of the O-line, because of the running game. Now, Rachaad White, he was different. I will say I was wrong on that. The O-line's still shit, but Baker proved to be a warrior and a fighter out there, and that's why I give Baker the credit he deserved. Yeah, I'm not saying he played. Me saying the Bucs were going to be bad was not because of Baker. I said it was because Baker wasn't going to have enough time to extend the play, to throw the ball down, because he's a deep ball thrower. He loved throwing the ball deep and throwing big plays, and I didn't think he was going to have enough time. That's why I had the Bucs in last place in the NFC South, because of that O-line.
I call the Bucs being shit because of Baker. Yeah.
Oh, I did.
I mean, this is a Baker that we've never seen before.
Yeah, but the Bucs really, I think their big problem this game was that once they got into red zone, they didn't utilize Rachaad White as much as they should have in either the running game or passing game. Like the one time that they were able to score in the red zone, they were able to get that like screen pass to Rachaad White. Like where is if you're going to combat against the bad offensive line, you need to start moving the ball outside and start getting these guys the ball out there where you can get more pass blockers on the outside. Get your wide receivers, tight ends, and some of your offensive linemen out there on screen plays or even on swing plays. And you saw it work. But they just didn't utilize it enough when they got into the red zone. So I think that was really the biggest problem. But like you guys said, man, Baker just didn't have enough time to throw the ball, and just they didn't do enough to make the difference to take that away by getting those quick passes out.
And I said Rachaad White was going to be the difference maker of the game. Like that's the guy. And like Doc said, he's at 6.1 yards a carry. Now when you're down 31-17, it's hard to run the ball. But earlier in the game, when it was still like low scoring and you're neck and neck, run the ball more with fucking Rachaad White. Get him involved. Like he's a difference maker, and I said that it's what he is. And back to that DraftKings bullshit that y'all are talking about, the no fucking PI. Baker Mayfield's calf was down. We ain't gonna say anything about that because the next play was a touchdown where it was gonna be third and way deeper. And I don't think they're throwing a screen on that fucking play. They might be checking it down and running it.
Vegas wasn't losing money on that play, dude.
Yeah, it was just gonna be a field goal, not a touchdown. That's a 4-point swing.
But on that play, you watch it in real time.
Spread.
They pulled Debo. Debo got hurt at 24 yards. As soon as he got 24, they were like, get him out of here.
But they wouldn't have to throw it. They wouldn't have to fucking do that rig PI because guess what? It would have been not.
Vegas fucked me out of $1,000 on that one play.
Hey, this is just
one fucking play because every other one hit except that one in my parlay, except the 2 fucking point conversion.
Well, but they would have had that chance to do that if they would have been fucking.
They would have scored.
No, because if the calf was down, they're going to kick a field goal. Yeah. It's a 3-point swing. It's a 4-point swing. I mean,
some of those plays you just got to watch them in real time and don't give me that. Oh, it was right there. It was that in 1 millisecond his calf.
Well, you got to challenge
where that damn calf was at when it was all the way down by the time the ball was out. Like it was just you have to watch those plays in real time.
But Dan has to challenge that though. Campbell has to challenge it though. I get the refs not calling, but Campbell's got to challenge it. Someone in the booth got to tell him, hey. Throw that red flag, man. Throw the fucking flag.
They probably looked at it and said, hey, look, watch it in real time.
It might have been a little too close to turnover, though.
I mean, I don't know. Whoever's calling the game with NBC, Collinsworth was saying it. I think his calf might be down. Either him or Tricia was saying it before the next play got snapped. They were saying it before the play got snapped. So someone in the booth's got to say something to him.
Do you think it was close enough to turn it over, though? Turn the call over? I don't know. So I've been... Still, even if he had thrown a challenge flag, that would have been 50-50 if he would have got it.
And shame on Todd.
It wasn't a for sure win on that challenge.
No, it wasn't. But it's something that you got to risk. You got to risk doing it. I mean, it's the playoffs, man. Like, come on. And by the way, we mentioned it. Shame on Todd Bowles too. Speaking of coaching, shame on Todd Bowles. You have a chance to get the ball back potentially. He's like, well, they're already in field goal range. Like, why happens if they missed the field goal, Todd? What happens if they miss the field? What happens if they bobble the snap? What happens if it's a block? What happens if something happens? And then you're down 8 with, I get it. Yeah, 30 seconds left. I get it.
We're seeing probably not going to score. Like record numbers these days.
Yeah, 30 seconds to go 60 yards. It's possible.
Yeah, Minnesota Miracle, buddy.
In fantasy.
Yeah.
Minnesota Miracle a few years ago. We saw it, right? It was an unlikely play. I'm not saying you're going to win the game. I get it. The probability's not there for you.
The Texans did it to them this season. It's how the Texans beat them. Almost the same situation.
That's like who was it a couple years ago? Ron Rivera didn't know he was even in the playoff hunt still, even though like they needed a bunch of it to happen. He's like, "Oh, I thought we were already out." What kind of coach are you? And you're not going to take a chance to win
number, dude.
Yeah, like come on. And shame on Todd Bowles. That's a loser's mentality. and he should be fired for that fucking comment that he made to the press. I would fire his ass the next morning. He woke up. I was like, "Good morning, Todd. Pack your bags. Get out of the fucking stadium. You're done, dude."
I wouldn't even say good morning. I
Hey,
would do that shit they did to the
Bill
Jets.
down there.
I'd do that shit they did to the Jets player and just change his code on the fucking building so he can't get in.
Yeah. Send Bill down there. Fix that organization.
He just
Don't
goes
check
no
the
emotion.
door.
Don't even open.
But
he has no emotion.
Come on, guys. I mean, there's other coaches in this league that deserve to be fired for things. And I mean,
I agree.
We're talking about. I mean, Sirianni should be gone.
I agree.
I mean, McDermott. I mean, we're gonna get there, but man, McDermott should be gone. I mean, there's just so many other coaches. Todd Bowles they had $80 million worth of dead cap this year. Think about how big that is on your team with the amount of talent that you have to have in the NFL to even make the playoffs.
I know what that's like. We had Khalil Mack.
Yeah. So and like, come on, that was a hell of a coaching job this year, though. I'm not a big fan of Todd Bowles. He does make some dumb mistakes. I think he's a little too stubborn, but that was a hell of a coaching job.
They got Baker to by far. Oh, I won't say by far, but his most successful passing year of his career. He hit career highs in touchdowns, passing yards. He was up there in percentage. Very good in the completion percentage. The interception numbers were average. I wouldn't say they were bad. 10 interceptions I wouldn't say is bad across 17 games in the NFL. 40 sacks hurts. That was he's gotten sacked 40 times twice before. So I mean that obviously that's why Brady really retired. You know what I'm saying? Brady couldn't take the hits no more when he kept turtling. But I'm not putting it all on Bulls. I mean, yeah, Bulls got to make a better effort on that play.
Oh yeah, it's not on him.
Defense, but he took a team that honestly I don't think even Tampa Bay I don't think was optimistic about this season with Baker Mayfield coming down. They brought him into Carolina and then the Rams thinking like, let's get him out of Cleveland, see if we can find another home for him. He shit the bed in Carolina. He was a placeholder in Los Angeles and then came down to Tampa Bay just kind of as a, hey, let's see, like a Geno Smith type of deal. And he balled out. He proved it this year. So, I think it's worth taking another gamble on him. I think give him a 2-3 year deal. Don't crazy pay him because I don't think anybody else in the league will because they learned from Geno.
2 years, $40 million.
I think you know what, for me,
incentive based or something.
Yeah, I think a good spot for Baker Mayfield. All right, there's two of them. I think
England.
He does not need to go back to Tampa Bay. When you look at we look at teams that probably are going to make it next year. Tampa Bay's right on that list.
Tampa Bay's also probably losing Mike Evans.
They have so many guys
there's a lot
on free agency. I mean, they've got all of their stars on free agency. Levante David's also a free agent. They've got so many guys that are up on that free agency block. And I think Baker Mayfield should either go to Sean Payton in Denver or head on over to Atlanta with whoever picks him up.
I will say, though, before we move on, it was not on Tom Bowles. I'm just saying it was a loser's mentality of the comment that he made. And I will say, before we move on to the Bills-Chiefs, big shout-out to Dan Campbell. 3 years ago to the day yesterday, the day that they beat the Bucs, he made that epic speech about you knock us in the teeth, you knock us in the face, we're going to get back up, and we're going to bite kneecaps. And guess what? 3 years later, they're in the NFC Championship. And that's big. And I will say congratulations to Dan Campbell. All the people that said some outlandish shit, I forgot her name. He used to work for ESPN. I'm not going to bring the whole, she said some crazy shit about Dan Campbell. And a lot of people weren't a Dan Campbell fan because of just how he was. And he proved all the doubters wrong. I think he's a good coach, and he fits the city of Detroit.
This is America's team right now.
You want to talk about a dude that should be fired for play calling? If we're talking just play calling, Dan Campbell's like the poster boy for that.
No, because his play calling is working most of the time. That's why they're where they're at.
If it costs you games that egregiously,
well, guess what? They're in the NFC Championship, so who gives a shit? They're the one of the 4 teams remaining. So does it really cost them anything? No, they're in the NFC Championship, buddy. They're in the NFC Championship.
Yeah,
I think you want to start playing what ifs? I mean,
they're in the game. It's not a what if. They're in the game. It's not a what if. They are. It's working. It's not a what if. It's working.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. I think a story on perception and imagery is at play here too. I mean, we talk about Man Campbell. He's out here. He's so big, and he's everybody perceives the way that he plays. Calls these plays or wants to go for it as being aggressive in him. And I think I said it last week, man. You get out here, you look at these other guys that are going by the analytics, and they're nerds, right? And they're just, he's just doing it by the numbers. This is what you're supposed to do. Dan Campbell's doing it by the numbers too. But he just kind of gets that bad rap, or at least the aggressive play calling, just because he's bigger than you, and he's got that. And he's a man's man. I get it, but at the end of the day, I think he's.
Well,
I like the guy. I'm not
Well,
saying.
the difference-
I was just
I think
making
it
the comment
really got-
based on the play calling.
Well, the
Yeah,
difference is
really-
that he's. But the
It
other
really got
the other
highlighted in the
ner-
Cowboys game where he just kept going lining up for that 2-point conversion. That's when it really got highlighted.
but
Other
the
than that,
nerds,
nobody
though-
cared. Nobody cared about it before that Cowboys game. Now you
For a
look at him go
2-point
for 4
conversion
down.
to win a game instead of tying it from the 7-yard line. I mean,
Oh,
he came
yeah,
back
yeah,
on another
yeah.
on a defensive
I think-
jump the snap, but from the
Oh.
7-yard, that's a terrible fucking play.
But
I
the
don't care who
difference,
you
though-
are.
I agree that's bad. I do.
You
But
should
the
have
difference,
tied that
though,
game.
is that they
Don't-
lost that game. But how many times have they won a game because of it?
a lot. And
Oh,
the
I
difference
don't know.
is he's not. Remember, he's not the nerd that's
yeah.
calling. Remember, he's not calling the plays. He's just telling the offense coordinator to make the play call. He doesn't call the plays. Ben Johnson does.
He called a 2-point conversion. He called a 2-point attempt.
No, that's all
what-
Ben. No, he told him to go for it. Ben Johnson's one calling the plays. It's not like Mike
No, I
McDaniel
know
and Kyle
that.
Shanahan. Yeah, he didn't say we're going to do this play. It's all Ben Johnson. He's just the coach saying, Ben, I trust you. You're going to go do it. He's got maybe a little ego check because he trusts his team, but it's not like McDaniels and Shanahan that's on them. They're the play caller. Dan Campbell's more of an old school coach. He doesn't play calls or he doesn't call plays at all. He just manages a team. Like that's the way it used to
I
be.
wasn't a fan of the call against Dallas, but I like what he's doing in
John
Detroit.
does too.
Yeah, I like what
Yeah,
he's doing in
Johnson.
Detroit. I'm excited for the Lions because it's nice to see them. This is like the biggest turnaround story in the NFL, short of Cleveland. If they can make a deep run here in the next couple of years, they're the next one that struggled right alongside Detroit. So, I mean, I'm glad to see them over the Packers. That's for damn sure. Because fuck the Packers. But no, I like Dan Campbell. I was just making the comment based solely on that 2-point conversion stuff, and there's times where when it works, you're hailed. You know what I'm saying? But when a fake punt gets stopped immediately in the backfield and your own 20-yard line, I mean that's
Well, I think we also got to look out because very, very similar paths from last year with the Eagles. We see this team come out, and these coordinators are really big deals on this team. And if they get poached, let's see what Dan Campbell is really made of, because these coordinators could go. And a lot of people talk big about Aaron Glenn. They talk big about Ben Johnson. These guys go. What's going to happen next? And next year, is Detroit going to have that same chemistry?
Well, speaking of next, we got to move on. We got to move on to this last game, and it's the rivalry of this era. I mean, we've seen it now 3 times in the playoffs, and it is Patrick Mahomes versus Josh Allen. And for the 3rd time in a row in the playoffs, Patrick Mahomes got the best of Josh Allen. He is his Achilles heel. He is his kryptonite, and that's not a bad thing to say. I know, Allen, we will talk legacy when Mahomes is done, but in their first 7 seasons of his career, if he wins the Super Bowl, he's off to the greatest start in the first 7 seasons in the history of the NFL at the quarterback position. He'll be tied with Brady in rings. He'll have 2 MVPs, and he'll have the most passing yards out of the 2 of them. That's just saying out of the first 7 years. I'm not saying 20-plus years. I'm saying for the first 7 years.
Again, let's cool it. He didn't win back-to-back. He did not win back-to-back 3 and 4 years. Come on.
Well, I mean, if he wins, 3 out of 5, okay, but close enough. But still 7 out of 7 years, all the stats are the same besides passing yards and
Winning
MVPs.
back-to-back is a big deal.
Well, he is winning back-to-back if he wins this year is what I'm saying, because he won last year, so it'd be back-to-back. But if he does win, I will say, similar to Nick Saban, this might be, not statistically, this might be Patrick Mahomes' best season of his career because of the lack of talent or the lack of production around him with all the drops. Travis Kelce's distracted. Pacheco's the only one that's playing hard all season. Rice has come along. But to do what they're doing right now with this lack of receivers that's dropping every single fucking pass, I will say this might be one of his most talented seasons because of what he has to deal with. And he just gets the best of Allen. I don't know what the Bills have to do. We're going to talk about it in the offseason for sure. But this Chiefs team, boys, you can't cut them out. And that's to say because the defense didn't play good the first 3 quarters. They tightened it up the 4th quarter. And Mahomes played good football. He was really good.
I mean, it's kind of tough to say that this is his best year because he's made plenty of mistakes this year. I mean, he's had some bad plays. He's done some of his old Mahomes mistakes, and he's just as much to blame for some of their losses as their wide receivers. I can't really go there and say that this is one of his better seasons. I get what you're trying to say, lack of talent around.
No, yeah, not stat-wise.
Issues and all that stuff. But man, he's made some mistakes too and lost them some games.
There's his wide receivers definitely lost him a couple games, like especially like at the end.
The
of
Lions game, the first Lions game, yeah, that was pick
Kadarius
six.
Toney lining up off sides. Was it the MVS drop in the end zone to win the game, potentially win the game? Yeah, so there's a lot of games that like they could easily have had like 2-3 losses.
Four wins. They could have beat the Lions. Pick six, that was there. The Eagles game, you said the 3 wins because the Bills game the first time, which would knock the Bills out of the playoffs probably.
Yeah. No, I agree with Mark though. I mean, this is like statistically, this is far from his best season. Statistically, it's actually
probably
arguably his worst season.
That's good to most people. That's the thing. That's a good season.
It is. It was still 4,100 yards. He only passed below that one other time. The 14 interceptions, though, is what I think the big problem was this year. But I mean, but like Mark, and like Mark was getting at, like what he's been able to do with the talent around him, and I've said it. I've made the joke for several weeks now. I mean, this guy can pull the hot dog vendor out of the 200 level and turn him into a receiver. I mean, this guy is averaging like 35 receivers that he's targeting a game. Doesn't matter who the hell you put out there. Like they're going to make plays. They're going to make plays. He's going to move the ball. And this is the only thing that I'm torn between picking with them and the Ravens coming up and everything is like, he makes magic happen. You know, even in this close game, even without the receivers and the weapons that Buffalo has, who obviously has a better receiving core hands down, but Patrick Mahomes managed 9 less completions for 30 more yards. I mean, it just goes to show what the guy can do. Besides the versatility and then the ability.
Well, he's pretty mobile. He's sneaky. He's sneaky.
No, I know. Yeah, no, he's not. He's not a scramble first quarterback like Lamar is, but he can definitely use the legs and get free. But I mean, just the trick passes of being able to like pass from the back between his legs and like roundhouse passing and everything else. Like, dude can shop disc it or whatever the fuck it's called. We throw the disc in track and field and hit a receiver down the field.
Did you see the left hand one yesterday where he like literally midair changed to his left hand? We've seen it several times. Throws out of bounds.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No one else is thinking about that shit. Like
exactly.
I don't think any other quarterback's thinking about like, oh, I could do this still.
And that's why this team, like the record is the record 11-6. Obviously, that was underachieving for what I think we all picked for the Chiefs this year. But I mean, the guy still makes plays happen. And this defense, going into the season, I thought that this was one of the worst defenses on paper they've always had. Not one of the worst. They did not have a good defense on paper. They have not had a good defense. I didn't think the last couple of years like a really convincing defense, but this year they've been absolutely lights out. This defense has been incredible this year, and honestly, without this defense, I don't know if Patrick is even in the playoffs right now because of the offensive struggles and everything. I mean, Kelsey is. Which Kelsey are you going to get right now? Because
he's woke up the playoff games. The two playoff games, he's had some good ones. So
Kelsey plays big in big games, and
that's why you hope he's good still going. But it's nice to see
now
them
Jason. And Jason's going to be there with Taylor Swift. Oh, his juices are fucking flowing higher than ever. It's not.
Oh yeah,
that heart was.
That's Patrick Mahomes fan number 1, 2, and 3 in the building right there.
That heart was not to Taylor Swift. That was to his big bro.
Okay.
That was the big brother.
I don't think we
100%.
Sure.
We didn't see Taylor Swift topless out there doing.
He wants to elevate his game.
Yeah.
He needs a Taylor Swift
That's all speculation.
bracelet.
But listen, man, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes all-time touchdown record in the playoffs, passing Brady and Gronk. They still got more games in them too. I think this was a masterclass in Andy Reid just owning Sean McDermott, though.
I mean, do they have more games?
Because
Mahomes
Gronk played like Mahomes 6 games a year.
Playing this weekend.
Gronk played like 6 games a year.
But remember, Mahomes didn't start till 2018. Gronk was there in 20.
I didn't say that they had more games. I'm saying they have more games to go. Like they're still going to be playing games, and they're going to.
Okay, I thought you meant
on top of that. Not. It took long.
Yeah. I misheard that.
But man, I think this was a masterclass. You look at Andy Reid; he's just owned Sean McDermott. I think it's time to make a move on the Bills. Man, how do you come away from this game thinking, what fucking idiot am I to pick against Patrick Mahomes in the damn playoffs against the Bills? This is what the Bills do. When they lost, I laughed. I laughed in the Discord. This is what they do. They went wide right again. I mean, it just happens. But I think this game is really on two people. It's on Sean McDermott and the offensive coordinators did a hell of a job all this year since he took over, but they really played too conservative this game. All of those passes behind the behind the line of scrimmage. I think it was 16 passes behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, there's just way too many of them. They're just trying to limit Allen's abilities, and this is one of those games where you've got to let him go out and be that guy. I did say before the game,
I think they're trying to. I think they're trying to limit Allen's mistakes in this game. I don't think they wanted that big turnover in this game. Like they did good not turning the ball over. I mean, they got really close to having some turnovers.
Yeah, but
they decided to do it tomorrow. They decided to do
it. There was 4 or 5 passes that he threw that were just the only person in the league that can make that pass. And I'm talking about Mahomes too, but he's the only guy in the league that can make that pass. I mean, it was phenomenal. That 60-yard in the air just strike into Diggs' hands and he drops it. I mean, you got to let Diggs go.
Sherfield
that
had
guy
a drop
is nothing
too.
But a fucking
dude.
Nothing but a problem.
And he's a fucking head case. I mean, they need a major shakeup. There's too much talent on this Buffalo team to not just get stopped here again by Patrick Mahomes, but all season long, the issues they faced. I mean, they had a very good late run, but all the bullshit and the terrible play. I mean, Josh Allen, the play call was dog shit. I get that you're trying to limit that big turnover, but we see it every year, every game. You don't win without taking chances. You don't win on screen passes, or very rarely you do anyways. I mean, odds are you're not. But, I mean, 26 of 39, 186 yards. The guy averaged less than 5 yards an attempt. That's insane to me for a quarterback. Less than 5 yards. 186 yards on 26 completions. He had a touchdown. He was the leading rusher for the team. Your leading receiver in yards was Dalton Kincaid, a tight end. I mean, there's so much.
3 for 21 for Stephon Diggs, by the way, Doc.
3 for 21 and 8 targets.
And he had the biggest drop too. And it wasn't just him.
Yes.
Sherfield had a big drop. And I will say Josh Allen had that missed throw. He had Diggs underneath, but he did have Shakir wide open in the end zone. He underthrew. He actually did that. I watched it. He didn't get though.
We're seeing it from
Diggs
every week though.
No.
He got scared.
He got all over TV. He got pushed up against that guy. That defensive lineman pushed his offensive lineman into him as he threw that pass.
I think he got scared.
He threw it.
Who's calling the plays?
He got scared.
Who's calling the offensive plays? Joe Brady?
Joe Brady.
He's an interim coach. Now, I think he deserves a shot at OC. I thought, like Alan said, he was phenomenal down the stretch. Now, obviously, it was phenomenal for the first 3 quarters.
Falcons interviewing for the head coach.
Yeah, that's right, because they did fire their guy earlier this year, didn't they?
Ken Dorsey, yeah.
You know what I think? I think Joe Brady did a good job in the meantime, but you've got to go out. You've got to fire Sean McDermott. You got to go out and get an offensive-minded coach. Get Joe Brady out of there, because when you do look at
you
Joe
don't need
Brady's
an offensive-minded
games,
head
Joe
coach.
Brady turned Josh Allen around.
With Josh Allen, you got to get a guy. That's the big.
You just got to get
now.
You got to get the right guy in an offensive corner. There are plenty of defensive-minded. Lovie Smith did it for fucking years.
Yeah, but this era, though, it's different, though.
I know that you need. I know, but that doesn't mean that you can't do it. Look at the end of the season run that the Bears had too with a defensive-minded coach. You can do it with a defensive-minded coach. You just got to have the right guy working with the quarterback in the offense.
Forget Brian Daboll. Forget Bill Belichick. You know what they should do? Fire Sean McDermott. Bring in Ben Johnson. Bring in the guy that turned Jared Goff around. Bring him in. Bring back the guy that turned around Jared Goff's career, who's in the NFC Championship because of his play calling. Bring him in. It ain't Aaron Glenn from the defense. It's fucking Ben Jacobs, it's Ben Johnson from the fucking Detroit Lions. Bring him in. He's a young, hot commodity. Bring him in.
Again,
it's a shame. I like McDermott, but
go get a coach.
I like Sean McDermott, and it's a shame. I think that maybe he's just spent in Buffalo and just needs to go somewhere else. I think he's still got plenty of future left for McDermott, but Buffalo as a whole needs a complete shakeup. I think Diggs got to go. I was wrong. I didn't see the drama come out like I thought I would, because it's only happened every year for like the last 2 or 3 years. But I think Diggs still got to go. I think that they need to attack the wide receiver in the free agent market. I think they need to attack wide receiver in the draft. This is a very talented team. This is a very talented team. They
Well,
got to figure out where the fuck they're going wrong and get the right guys in place.
the Bills have that Cowboys, the Cowboys have that circle of life every single
Yep.
year. There's a Bills one now. It says off-season drama from Diggs, start off hot,
I
struggle,
like that.
turn the season around when the AFC East, play Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow in the playoffs, and then lose.
And lose. Yeah, well, and
we are
listen
here.
too, when you just kind of going back to my thing about Joe Brady too. When you look at Joe Brady in these games, Josh Allen averaged under 200 yards passing. He only went over 250 yards passing one time, and that was against the Miami Dolphins, and he had 2 interceptions in that game during that stretch when Joe Brady took over. So I don't think that Joe Brady is the key.
That's exactly why they won games.
No,
they eliminated Josh Allen's
no,
mistakes.
I get
Didn't
that.
throw
But
300 yards against
get,
the Dolphins the first time?
No, but you've got to
He's
get
saying
the
since
Josh
Joe Brady
Allen.
took over.
No.
Yeah, since Joe Brady took over.
Yeah,
I think you got to get the coach
on a
that's going to
6-game run when Joe Brady took over.
He
That's the whole reason they made the playoffs.
But
they limited
but the problem is
You've got to find the medium of making
effectively running the ball. That's what they failed to do in this game. They didn't consistently stay with the run game. Yeah, James Cook had 18 attempts for 61 yards.
you've got to look at the Chiefs defense. They did a fantastic job after halftime coming out, and they were stuffing those runs. They were still calling run plays, and they were stuffing.
If you're throwing the ball 40 times in a game, you're having a bad game. Usually it's a bad game.
Dude, Lamar's the only one in the league not throwing the ball 40 times.
That's not.
I
wouldn't say that's not.
If you're throwing the ball 40 times,
Jared Goff threw it 43. Hey, Jared Goff threw it 43 times and had a good game. He had 287 yards touchdowns.
39 or 40 times.
But think about it like this: if you're throwing it 40 times and 16 of them are behind the line of scrimmage, that means you're calling run plays through pass plays, and that's okay to do because that balances out the offense. But when you're only calling, 30 pass plays and 16 of them are behind the line of scrimmage, that's a problem.
No, it's going to be interesting to see.
That's where they need to find the happy medium of designing the offense to avoid the costly mistakes, but still keeping the ball moving in positive direction. There's still
guys
other routes that you can
catch those immaculate passes that this man is throwing.
That's the problem. Is Stephon didn't show up. Sherfield's number 4 receiver anyways.
Stephon hasn't showed up since 21.
Gabe Davis wasn't there, so that was obviously big. He's a vertical guy, and that's where they could have used him. That was those 2 plays. But Gabe Davis is the guy that's going to be gone.
T. Higgins, man, get him somebody, and then get him somebody from the draft too.
T's going.
And I'm telling you right now, if the Bills had a set of balls on them, if I was Brandon Beane, fire McDermott, bring in Ben Johnson. That's all I got to say. Speak of a new head coach, boys.
Go get Dayball.
We said that earlier.
I do like to call it getting Dayball. Go find a way to get him.
But the problem is Ben Johnson's available. He's there. He's there for the taking, and that's why I'm saying it. But hey, we did.
Coach. Hey, he got Josh Allen. He figured Josh Allen out.
It'd be hard to get him though. You have to trade for him. He's not just going to leave.
It's the NFL. They can work something out.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not a conference. Yeah. It's not a within conference play or anything like that. You're talking about.
They
AFC,
could figure
NFC.
Something out.
They're not. That's not something that's outside of the realm of possibility. I think it's a great idea, and I think that's really what they should do. I don't know if that's what they end up doing.
Yeah, it won't. I don't think it'll happen,
but we did get
they're not going to fire him.
It's so ridiculous too. How many coaches?
If he's not fired within the next 2 days, he's staying.
Like it's ridiculous how much of a leash this man has, and considering he's went through all of his scapegoats, he's fired all of his best friends. They're all gone. He's thrown them all under the bus so that he could keep his head coaching job. And guess what? He's still underperformed.
Well, boys, we did get a new head coaching hire. The Tennessee Titans are the 3rd team to get a coach, and they took the Cincinnati Bengals offensive coordinator who's been there since 2019, Brian Callahan. He's coached guys named Peyton Manning. I think we've all heard of him. Derek Carr, Joe Burrow, and Matthew Stafford. Is this a good hire for the Tennessee Titans?
Gets him away from the Bengals, so I like it.
But the question was he the true play caller, or was that I can't think of the coach. Yeah, Zach Taylor.
I don't know. Zach Taylor's not that great, I don't think, anyways.
Yeah, I don't really have a high opinion of Zach Taylor. I think he's also another guy that you could. I mean, he's gotten so many injuries this year, so you can't.
Burrow and Chase saved his NFL coaching career by getting them to the Super Bowl.
I don't know. Is a good play caller. I think he's a good person to bring in for the Titans if you're going with that young quarterback. What are they going to do around him? Because they have so many holes. They have so many holes, and that division is going to be tough. Jacksonville will be back. I'm not a big fan of Trevor Lawrence right now, but Jacksonville will be back. Peterson's a hell of a coach, and Houston's right there. So who's coming? And you see what Sean Steichen did in Indianapolis this year with Minshew. So I mean, it's going to be a tough division, but I do think that that's probably the best decision. I just think right now in this era, and I'm just going to wrap this up. I think in this era, you got to go quarterback, and you got to get an offensive coach for that quarterback.
I'm just surprised they went him. I mean, like I said, you have the Texans offensive coordinator available. You do have Ben Johnson, who I've been high on for a while now. He's available. I think out of all the OCs you picked, I don't know why you went Brian Callahan. I get it. He's worked with Peyton Manning, Stafford, Derek Carr, and Joe Burrow. His four biggest names did win a Super Bowl with the Broncos, went to one as well. They lost that first one, but I mean, he was an assistant there. He wasn't the OC or anything like that. He was quarterback's coach with Carr, I believe. I just don't know. I don't know why you went him. I didn't know much about him. I know he's Bill Callahan's son, a legendary head coach or a legendary coach in the league, but he's had moments here and there.
Yeah,
but
I think it's kind of a weird hire because I don't think he was really on anybody's radar for like a head coaching hire at all. I don't remember seeing him getting interviews anywhere else, and this one just kind of came out of nowhere.
Get him at a discount.
Yeah, but I think Tennessee also wanted that not to say puppet, but a guy who they can still have their GM around because that was the big thing.
Who is the GM? Did they even hire a GM?
I'm not even sure who the GM is, but I know that was the big issue with Vrabel.
It's the one, the big dude because it's the female owner for the Tennessee, right?
The big guy.
The big guy. I don't remember his name.
There's a lot of big guys in the league.
No, but
the guy from Tennessee is talking all the time. So. The guy, I think he's the GM. I don't remember.
But I just think it's
younger.
I don't know. I just out of all the OCs that were available, it threw me off when I was literally and I was on the shitter before this episode and I saw it and I was like, damn, fucking this guy. I was like, oh, okay.
Good.
I guess this is the guy that's gonna maybe turn Will Levis around or maybe he'll go his own quarterback.
Good hire. Get that. Get the OC out of the fucking.
Do we think
Cincinnati.
that this hire is a little bit, is worse than Antonio Pierce? Like, I mean, Tennessee was heavy on Antonio Pierce. Kudos to the Raiders for doing the right thing. I think this was the right call. That team loves him. The players love him. They wanted him back around, and we know how the Raiders are. The Raiders want to go out and get that superstar coach, and they went ahead and went with Antonio Pierce. That's a great job. But I mean. Who else? They interviewed Antonio Pierce. That was the other guy.
They interviewed quite a few people. I think Antonio Pierce was their Rooney Rule interview.
You need two of those.
Yeah. Did they have two?
I mean, they had to. I mean, they had to have two. They hired a coach.
Yeah, I feel like they've had like 50 interviews already.
I mean, everyone interviews everyone. I mean, that's just the way you'll call the goddamn water boy if you need to.
They just weren't announcing it like the Atlanta Falcons.
As long as
Bill Belichick.
Falcons interviewing everyone for a second time. So it's like I don't even know what the fuck's going on anymore in Atlanta. Like they're just sitting here saying, "Oh, we're interviewing you twice, you twice, you twice. Hey, you over there, come on down. We need a second one from you for some reason."
Let's leave the Ravens coordinators alone.
Where's the video recording guy? Where's the NFL's Eric Spoelstra?
Hey, that guy's a legend, man. I love me some Eric Spoelstra, obviously, but no, good show, boys. Doc. You did great, man. It's good to have you in here. Maybe we'll talk the Bears going out if it's official. They're looking at that guy. We'll talk about the OC maybe next episode. We'll have some time. We have 2 games to talk about Thursday.
We hired our OC.
Oh, so it was official. I know it was coming
Waldron.
in. It was close. Okay, we'll see what he does.
I like Shane Waldron. I thought he was a good call. I thought he was a good guy for the Patriots to go after. So I think the Bears got.
Hey, let's hope DK wants to come too.
Yeah,
see if we can make a move for DK. I believe
maybe draft Caleb and get DK and move on from Fields. Get maybe a first for him.
I thought DK just signed an extension a couple years ago, though.
You know, and honestly, listen, I don't know how you feel about Justin Fields, Doc, but I mean, I
like
think that get Shane Waldron in there, bring in DK, have DJ Moore, and let you use Justin Fields like Lamar Jackson. Please, for the love of God, get this man the ability to play like a running quarterback and stop trying to turn him into a pocket passer.
No. It's so the pocket passing is not the issue. It is when he gets a tunnel vision, when the pressure breaks down, like first move is running and he does not look up the field. He does not, like Patrick Mahomes scrambles all damn time, but he looks up the field and he makes plays happen. So that's what they need to focus on with Fields is looking up the field and watching the play develop as you're scrambling, continue to make plays. Don't give up on it. But I think the Bears are like, well, we got 2 holes that we got to fix now in the tackle and center position. We lost 2 guys that are, well, hopefully we're losing 2 that are dog shit. So we got a couple holes to fill in the offensive line. And I think we're that and one wide receiver away from really, I mean,
defensively, your team is there. When you look at the
when we got
stats
Sweat,
for the team, when you look
when
at
we
the
got
team
Sweat,
stats,
we were dog shit
that's what I'm
before
saying.
that.
You just got to re-sign him now.
Yeah, you got.
No, they already did.
I think
We signed him the day we
oh,
traded
yeah,
him.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah, they got him. They already signed him. Yeah, he's
Or,
long
well,
term.
not the
Night
day.
and
We
day
re-signed him a couple days.
I didn't see you.
Yeah, it was a 4 or 5 year deal, a 4 year for
defense,
80, I
man,
think,
but
or something.
They were the number 1 team against rush defense this year, or against the run, and they played really opportunistic. In the pass game, I like where the Bears are headed. If they bring in that DK type of player, man, I think that's going to be a really good team.
The only problem is, though, it's going to be hard to get a DK type player because he's coming in knowing he's number 2. Because DJ Moore put up 1,400 yards this year. Like, the dude was unbelievable. And he had a slow start to the season. You know what I'm saying? So we got to bring in a guy that's going to be a number 2. I mean, ultimately, if you want to win, that's all it should matter. You know what I mean? Because right now our number 2 target is our tight end, which is a great tight end, but that's a problem. But the defense came out, man. Fowler was a great pickup in the draft. Tyreek Stevenson was unbelievable. I mean, we got to work on some of the penalties and the immaturity and stuff, but he was a showstopper. I mean, he was all over the play. He was always making stuff happen. We got Edmonds and Edwards still. I mean, there is so much going on. We got to replace the safety this year, but there is so much going on with this defense and just adding Sweat, like the immediate difference that it made. No, this team is ready to go. Like I said, we're a couple of offensive and not even big ones, but a couple of offensive pieces away from turning it around.
I'm just definitely keep on that Eberflus is there, man, and I think that he's got to have a better start to the season next year. The last couple of years,
I want to take the 5th year option. I am not sold on the quarterback class this year. I definitely don't want Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels. I don't know.
See if Justin Fields is going to do the same thing that Jordan Love did. Take that restructured, take that 5th year option and restructure it in a way that's beneficial to the team, and then see how that goes. Then try to sign that long-term deal. I just don't know if Justin Fields is that guy. I'm not into.
I think he is. I think. Well, I don't know about the restructure. I think that he wants to stay in Chicago, but I think a lot of what's killing it right now is the faith, and they're not really. Like, he's just kind of coming out like, yeah, I mean, if I'm here, I'm here. If I'm not, I'm not. And that's a problem, right? He's expressed that he wants to be a Bear, but he's not really doing that right now. But no, man, I think that he's got all the potential. He showed what he can do this year. He just needed the pieces, and he never had the fucking pieces. He never had them, and now he's got them, and hopefully we get a couple more. And I think the Bears are going to be on the rise next year.
Definitely something we're going to be looking forward to in the offseason. The Bears are one of arguably the most interesting teams for the second year in a row, what they're going to do with that first pick, what they're going to do in the free agency market.
So much cap space.
But like I said, boys, great episode. Alan, we're going to miss you Thursday. I know you said you can't be here, so we'll get your picks. Text them to me. We'll read them out loud, see what 2 games this week. So you have a good shot at maybe getting the Super Bowl right at this point of the year. So definitely have an opportunity now to get it correct. And Luke, what a day for you, man.
Yeah.
You're the only one that had a big weekend. So congrats.
Hopefully we get another one next week.
We'll talk about that Thursday. That's going to be, I'm pretty sure, an interesting debate. And Doc, great again. Great, man. Glad to have you here. Chris, we miss you. I know you couldn't be here tonight, but we miss you. I'm Mark Davis, and this is All About the Balls Podcast, and we are out. Thank you for checking out another episode of All About the Balls Podcast. We want to thank all of our listeners and supporters of the Sack House. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram @the Sack House.